Welcome to the Real Estate Fight Club, a podcast for agents where you'll witness a battle of opinions about topics affecting your real estate business. There are many ways for agents to achieve success. The secret is to find which approach will work for you. Now, always in your corner, here are your hosts, Jen Mertland and Monica Weekly.
Welcome to Real Estate Fight Club, and I am here with Knolly Williams, the business healer. Hi, Knolly.
Jennifer, what's up? Happy to be here. Let's go.
Yeah, we might fight, but we're going to talk about today how to work less and make more. So I feel like we are going to agree on a lot of stuff, but I always take every opportunity to fight with you, of course.
Yeah, let's go. And it's fun too. I used to be in debate class when I was in school, and a lot of people would get really upset. And to me, it was just like so much fun.
It's fun to debate. I feel like if you're not pissing it off at least one person a day, you're not helping them grow. That's my personal philosophy.
Absolutely. Yes. I love that.
So just so people know who you are, you've been in real estate a long time. You wrote a book, which we're going to talk more about. You're an international speaker and thought leader on real estate. You're a real estate broker, #1 recruiter at eXp Realty. You're all real estate all the time, and you always wear a cowboy hat.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I've been wearing this for about 30 years, believe it or not. Before I got into real estate, I was rocking this in my 20s.
Nice.
And I blame my wife for it. So yeah, but
she likes it.
Yeah. It was the quick story of it was we were in Mexico. I was probably about 27, and we were goofing off, and we were just going with family. We were just walking from stand to stand. This guy had cowboy hats, and I just popped one on, like, "What's up?" like that, and I put it back. And then they were like, "Oh, that looks nice." I was like, no. So I started walking away, and they said, no, really, it looks good. So the guy got me the mirror. I was like, oh, okay.
It looks good. Like you were feeling yourself.
I was feeling it. So I got him from $10 down to $6.
Nice.
And then it just stuck. I started wearing it. I started really feeling it. I liked it. I was like, this is me. I learned how to ride horses later, so shamefully, but that's the way it is. I'm a rhinestone cowboy, right? What can I say?
That's hilarious. Well, let's talk about, we're going to give the audience today 3 actionable steps that they can take right now to work less and make more. Right. And then we're going to give some tips on how to get more information and some other actionable steps. Sure. But it feels like everybody would want this information, but do you have, is one of your tips, or can you give us maybe a pre-tip on mindset around?
Yeah, really, mindset is the first thing. Mindset is really everything. And my big tip for that, and I just happen to have it here. I didn't know you would ask me this, but The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, by Dr. Joseph Murphy, is my favorite book on mindset. Everything happens first and foremost in the mind. Yeah. We used to think that it was that 88% of the activities that happen in our daily life happened in the subconscious, and it was 12% in the conscious. Well, new research, which I write about in the book, points to the fact that it's actually 95-5. So 95%, 95% of the things that you and I do every day, Jennifer, happen they're autonomic. They happen in the subconscious or the unconscious mind, and only 5% are conscious. So if we can train our mind, and we can get our subconscious to start working for us instead of against us, which in most cases is, then we can really have some big breakthroughs for sure.
But I think even the concept of working less and making more.
Yeah.
Is but real estate, we work 24 hours a day, which is that's stupid. Right. Stop it immediately.
Yeah. It sounds ridiculous. I remember when I first got into real estate and I was 8 months in the business, my first 74 days in the business, I did 21 listings. And so I was doing a high volume production, and I was going crazy. And if you're in real estate, what it's like to be in famine. But when feast hits and you're just got more business than you can handle, you're overwhelmed. You're in overwhelm. Right. And that's where I was. And what I did, Jennifer, and this is an actionable item that you can do right now listening, is I made a list of every single thing that I did in my business. And it was a big yellow chief pad, and I wrote, this, I do this, I generate leads, I talk to customers, I wrote it all out. And it turns out that on a listing, there's 46 different things that we do. And what I did, Jennifer, was I rated them on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 means I hate it. 5 means I love it. Okay. And there's a scale in between. So it's I hate it, I don't like it, I really like it, or I love it. Okay. And what I decided after I rated every single one of those, this is me 8 months in the business. This is a 1 for me. No, this is a 3. This is a 4. Oh, this is a 5. I decided from that point, Jennifer, that I was only going to ever do 4s and 5s. And everything else. This
is like so great. Do you still have that list of the 46 things?
I probably have it somewhere. Well, I have actually, the list is in my book now. So the original list that I wrote, I'm sure I still have, but I've had iterations of it. And now it's my system. It's a process. It's a 46-step system. And here's the reality on a listing. Okay. Get this. In the state of Texas, there were only, of the 46 steps that happen in listing, step number 1 is generate the lead. Step 40, close the transaction. And then there was 6 steps after the closing. Only 3 to 4 of those required a license. Everything else did not require a license. So I started to the point where I was doing 3 to 5 of those tasks on every listing, and everything else was done by someone else. That was not
even free up your time. But people are going to argue, right? And I'm not arguing with you on this, but like, this is what they're going to say. Well, yeah, but if I have to pay somebody, how am I making more?
Well, what I did was I instituted a transaction fee. See, what I believe is that when you want to hire someone, you should never pay for that hire out of your income. Okay, so you should create. Let me give you an example. So I have a guy who's a video editor for me. Okay, I pay him $1,000 a month, which is very good for the Philippines. Okay, but this guy is incredible. He's been working for me for 5 years already. Now, what I do is I pay him $1,000 a month, which is a very good income for him and his family. And I've got a video co-op where I have 5 people that are part of the co-op, that are part of my organization. He'll do video editing for them as well. They pay $300 a month for as much video editing as they need, but they're only taking about 20% of his day. The other 80% he's got of his time is used to edit all my videos and do all my graphic stuff that I need done. And so I'm bringing in $1,500 a month and I'm paying him $1,000. So you should be able to create it's never and this is small thinking. This is where we talk about the subconscious mind and how you think. When you say I can't afford that, that is a affirmation. You just made a statement and you've told your subconscious, hey, he says he can't afford it. She says she can't afford it. Let's make it to where they can. Wait a minute, we can't afford that, don't you? And see, it will always beat you down to the level of what you're telling it, what you're programming. It's a program. Well, when you start asking better questions like, how can I afford it?
How can I afford it? Yeah.
How can I afford to fly first class all the time? Let me see.
How can I make this happen?
So when I got in the business, I instituted a $5.95 transaction fee, on every single listing. And I was taking
that's a whole different podcast. We did that one like 2 years ago, I think. But
that's a whole different game. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
but literally with 10 to 12 listings a month, I'm generating anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000 a month. And this is another revenue center. Okay. Another, I call it a SRS, a secret revenue source. And I talk about it in the book where you create these. And now guess what? I've got the income to cover the price of 3 VAs or 3 admin people. And I don't have to pay that out of my commission.
Well, and I also think like, what is the opportunity cost of that time? So if you're on the 46 steps, you're only doing, 5 of them. Somebody else is doing the other that took up most of the time. Sure. So you have all this free time where you could generate more leads, right? But absolutely. I think there's something in there where we're like you had mentioned it before. We don't want to generate more leads because what if they say yes?
Yeah. And now I don't have the time. I'm overwhelmed.
Now you don't have time again.
Right. Yeah. And that's and so you can actually solve that. So there's only 2 problems that real estate agents will ever have. Okay. And help you solve the problem in 2 minutes. Okay. So in your business, and this is the misnomer, Jennifer, that a lot of us as agents think that we have all these problems to solve. And really there are only 2. There's only 2 problems. And this is really true for any.
We might fight here. Let's see what they are.
So the only 2 problems that you'll ever have in your business is you don't have enough money or you don't have enough time. Those are the only two
Okay.
problems you'll ever have. I remember teaching seminars, and I would talk to them and say, there's no problem that you currently have that if you got 10 new listings, you wouldn't be able to solve that problem.
Yeah.
Except that the 10 new listings will create another set of problems for you. Now you don't have time, right? So the way you solve the money problem, and by the way, you could scratch and scrape and try to figure it out, but those are the only two problems you'll ever have as an entrepreneur, except if you have a product, like if you're in retail and you have supply chain issues, which, in real estate, we don't deal with that, but that's another set of
We
issues.
sort of do. We have a supply chain issue with houses being available right now, right?
That's why you want to be a listing specialist. Absolutely. Because when you focus on listings, you control the inventory. You got to be,
right. And you can get 3 to 5 leads at least off of every listing.
Absolutely.
And you don't get that off of a buyer lead.
Yeah. And I used to teach that how to get 4 closings off of every listing you take.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the number one problem is money. Now, how do we solve that problem? The way we solve the money problem is, number one, you got to lead generate. You got to do it every single day.
Yes.
You go into your lead generation bunker. And I used to teach 3 hours, then my agents wouldn't do it. Then I said, okay, 2 hours a day, just 2 hours. I realize now through the research that the Homo sapiens brain is only capable of a sustained activity for 90 minutes. Okay. Of sustained, this is all research. Okay. So now I say, get in your lead generation bunker and generate leads every day for 90 minutes. Okay. A day. And then go on appointments. See, if you only did those 2 things in your business and all the other 46 things, the 44 other things, you didn't do any of those, you would have a rocking business and you'd be moving the needle. Because
and this is where I think there's only one problem in business, and it's generating leads, that they're not doing it. You're not doing it enough, and you're not doing it consistently, and you're not doing it long enough. So it's consistency over time in generating leads, and that solves all your problems.
It does.
Like, you don't have problems.
It does, but here's another problem that it creates. So I teach all over. I've taught, just like you, I've had thousands and thousands of agents and entrepreneurs that I've consulted. The problem that it creates when you're successful, for example, most of my coaching clients are already making at least 6 figures before they hire me to take them from 100 to 250 or 250 to 500. So, for example, there's a gal in Houston, in the Woodlands, Texas. She's the number 1 agent in her office of 400 some agents. Okay. And she is working like 15 hours a day, but she's number 1. She's got a lot of leads. She closes a lot of deals. Okay. But she's working all the time. So in her world, she doesn't really have a lead generation problem. She has a time problem. Like, she's got a lot of business coming in. Think about a restaurant. There's that restaurant that is booked, like, you got to book 2 weeks in advance because they don't have enough space and they can't accommodate. Like, they're just that famous. So they don't have really a lead generation problem. They have a time problem now. And so there's ways that you solve. The way you solve the time problem is through leadership. Okay. And obviously leverage is how you solve any problem that you have with time is going to be solved through leverage. Okay. Which leverages people, systems, and tools. Okay. So, but that demands, you're going to be focused on branding and leadership. Now, probably we're not focused on, people in that category, but that's how you solve the 2 problems. You generate leads, go on appointments. If all you did was generate the lead and go on the appointment, I would be fine if you didn't do anything else, with your day.
But is that more than 3 hours a day?
No, it's not. So you do 90 minutes in the morning of generating the lead, and then you have scheduled 1 listing appointment, by the way.
Which is, I'm assuming, like 20 or 30 minutes, right?
Well,
or are you doing an hour?
If you're like me, so I do pretty much all of my listing appointments through Zoom now.
Okay.
This is a whole different podcast probably, but
I love this.
I have the listing paperwork in my hand before I ever go out to the listing. And in most cases, it's one of my agents that will go out to the listing because I've already got the paperwork. So it's a completely different way. Like the last 300 homes that I've listed, I've probably seen 30 of them, you know what I'm saying? So houses don't need to be seen to be sold. And
they don't, but this is part of the mindset thing, right? So like, here's the thing that I want people to hear that I'm going to say that we have not said. Most real estate agents sell like what, like 5 houses a year or something?
6.
Okay, 6. So if you're taking advice from people that sell 6 houses a year, and that's what people like, that's what realtors do. Like, this is what we do. And this is how those realtors do it. Well, if your goal is bigger than 6, you are going to have to do something different than what everybody else is doing. Stop following people that are doing 6 deals a year when your goal is 12 or 24 or 300 or whatever. So dumb.
Yeah, you got it. You have to really, you have to get different teachers.
Use your brain. Yeah.
Yeah. Follow the people that have what you want. Yeah. No doubt about it. No doubt. And when you start doing volume, you start realizing that you have to have a systematic approach for how you do business, or else you'll never really be able to, you'll always be in overwhelm. Now, here's the thing about 3 hours a day that I want, everyone to understand. So 3 hours a day is about spending 3 hours a day doing the only things that move the needle. Okay. Because
lead generation.
And it's income producing activities. So once you generated a listing, you're no longer, servicing the listing and delivering your promise. Yeah. None of that is for you, because you're done, And I tell if you spend time generating leads in the morning, 90 minutes, and 90 minutes you have, scheduled for appointments, you do 1 appointment a day, that's 4 appointments a week. That's 16 appointments a month, maybe 18, a 22 day work month. And you're basically going to have, and I'm talking about 4 days a week, by the way. Okay. Monday, because I never work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, never work nights, never work weekends in my career. So, but if you choose to work 5 days a week, that's fine. Now you've got time for 5 appointments a week. That's over 20 appointments. You're going to get, and I'm talking about listing 10 or more deals a month. Yeah. You can do that in 3 hours a day. Now, if you want to spend time doing everything else on the rest of the time, okay, like the rest of your day, you're doing this, you're checking email, whatever else you want to do, that's up to you. But make sure you're at least spending 3 hours a day on the only things that will move the needle. And eventually you'll be like, why am I doing this? And why am I doing that? Why am I editing my own videos? Why am I, and you'll start, having more trust in other people. You start scraping your plate, and you'll realize that actually there's only 10% of the things that you do every day that get you 90%.
That actually matter. Yeah. It's not the 80-20 rule. It's 90-10. So let's talk about those things. Generating leads. And I would argue that appointments really, like, I don't do that. Like, in the last handful of years, I haven't gone to any appointments. Like, I generate the lead because that's what makes the most amount of money. I generate the lead. I send somebody out who's better or same to me that can get the paperwork.
That's a different level of the game. And that's where I spent most of my career. Once I figured things out, it took me about 4 years. In my 4th year in business, it's 2008. And I was the #1 solo producing agent in Austin, Texas, with 9,800 agents in our MLS. Austin Business Journal put out the report. And
congratulations.
Production was #1. I still have the actual sheet. And, a lot of these things we do for accolades. I know I did, because as a kid, unfortunately, I was told you'll never amount to anything. I was in that household, right? I was beaten. I was an abused kid. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to prove you wrong, sucker.
Until it gave you the energy
Sure. Until I outgrew the need to do that. But it was a good catalyst for me to really succeed at a high level. And so, the point of why I'm saying that is, by that time, I had realized that if all I did was generate the lead and other people did the other 45 steps, that's all I needed to do.
That's it. And you're done.
Everything else could be done by someone else. And that's when you're really getting to the point where you're working that 4 or 5 hours a week, and that's a whole different level of the game, which honestly, most people don't really even aspire to. Like because let's face it, working is an adrenaline rush. It's, the reason why I've been a workaholic, my first career, I did 15, 18-hour days for 10 years. Is because of that adrenaline spike. I want that hit. I want that dopamine, right?
Yeah.
And what I've learned though, Jennifer, is that there's a way to get dopamine fixes from all
Faster.
kinds of areas of life.
Yeah.
All kinds of areas of life. Yeah. There's 14 life areas, and I teach them in the book. And I can book a one-way trip to Italy. And that's a dopamine fix for me.
Hey, first class, I guess, assume. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah. With the beds that recline and everything. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about okay, so let's say, our average listener, 24 deals a year, so 2 a month. Right. How do we get to 3 hours a day and make more money? Like, what is right now we're working a lot, it's kind of sporadic, but like, what do we do?
The number one way to double your business, and because I had Andy Green did this, he was at 25 million a year. And I kept telling him, man, you gotta, there's a 4-step lead life cycle. You generate the lead, you capture the lead, you incubate the lead, then you convert the lead. And most high Ds want to generate the lead, convert the lead, generate the lead, convert the lead.
That sounds great.
And the magic happens in the middle.
Yeah.
You got to capture and incubate. And most of us suck at incubating and nurturing, our
the follow-up is terrible in the real estate business.
If all you did, if you're doing 24 deals and all you did, of course, I'd have to look at your business, but if all you did was hire a nurturer, and what he did 4 hours a day, a VA, okay, they could be stateside if you're concerned about, the way that they would present themselves or whatever, no problem. And you pay them $20 an hour, whatever you want to pay. That alone will double your business, because Andy went from 25.
What if you are the nurturer? Like, what if you are good at that piece? You're not good at the generating and the converting.
If you're not good at generating the lead, you can hire somebody to generate leads, but I would say you definitely want to bone up and become better at generating leads. I mean, the reason why I have a book called Triple My Listings, and it's 27 marketing ideas for free seller leads. The reason I wrote it is because a lot of my agents were going into their lead generation bunker, and they were like, okay, what do I do? What do I do now? It's really easier than you think. There's only 3 lead buckets where you have to dip into, and you only have to implement like 4 or 5 different strategies when you go into your lead generation bunker. And I feel like, it's not time consuming. We're talking 90 minutes a day of lead gen.
What are your 3? Like, people people you don't know? And
the 3 lead buckets are going to be, number 1, your sphere of influence.
Yeah.
Okay, number 2 is your geo farm. Okay. And number 3 is your niche. Your what you're known for, like whatever your specificity is. If you 90% of all the listing leads that I ever got came from those 3 buckets. And so with the 27 strategies, I teach you how to implement that within those different buckets, if you will.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. So you have also a 7-step blueprint for the 3 hours a day, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. And then that's something, and tell us like how we can get that blueprint.
Time flies too, but the first step, and we haven't even talked about this, the number 1 step is to hone your superpower. Hone your superpower. It kind of goes back to
find it first.
You got to find it first. That's exactly right. So, and you can find it through the DISC test, the passion test, the genius test. There's a lot of different personality profile tests you can find it through. I have one called Discovering Your Divine Destiny, which is 121 questions to scratch exactly at who you are. But really, Jennifer, most agents and entrepreneurs have never taken the time to figure out who they are deeply. Like, what do I really want? And even successful ones, I ask them, and I'm like, what do you want? They're like, well, I want my wife to be happy. I get that, but what do you want?
Exactly.
And so that's hone your superpower, step 1. And then we evaluate your business. That's step 2. And it goes all the way through to where we create your 3 hours a day. What is your
based on your business, and how, like, this is creating your business around your life, not creating your life around your business. Like, taking back ownership. But that's a scary thing, right? Because you're like, oh, well, then I'm responsible for it because I'm the one that created it. But like, that's what this podcast is all about.
Well, you're creating either way. Even if you say
it's happening. You might as well be in control.
You're creating what you don't want. It's always in creation mode.
Exactly.
You're creating less of what you want or more of what you want. That's it.
So
you're always in creation mode. Yeah.
This is so good. You've given us like a lot of resources. I know you have a website, right? Does it have all these resources on it, including the book?
Yeah, all the
blueprint,
resources.
the
Yeah,
test, everything.
yeah, everything's there. The test that you want to take. If you go to knolly.com, KNOLLY.com. If you can spell my name, you can find me. And it's not a nickname. People ask me, was that short for something? Like, no, it's like I didn't.
What would it be short for?
And by the way, I would have never chosen that name. I mean, I'm proud of it now. I'm happy for it because I have a .com. Like, what's up? It's
Yeah,
that.
hey.
But I'm actually a junior. I'm Knolly Alexander Williams Jr. My dad had the same name. And so it's, and I'm first generation American. So
Nice.
I think that gave my dad a very unique perspective. He came to this country when he was 18 years old. And he taught me a unique perspective of entrepreneurship. He was like, boy, this is the land of opportunity.
Yeah.
Anything you want. And I was like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Yeah.
That's awesome. So knolly.com, KNOLLY. If you want to start with taking the test to figure out your superpower, you want to grab the book on working 3 hours a day, like whatever resources, the blueprint, the 7-step blueprint, like whatever you need is there. Tell us while we wrap up, what's something you're working on right now besides the book?
Now, yeah. So besides really, I'm working on a boot camp that complements the book, and it's a 4-day boot camp. Nice. It's self-paced, and then with that, it's going to be some coaching that's once a month where people will be able to jump on with me, and we'll talk for about an hour and a half to 90, about an hour and a half. I was going to say an hour and a half to 90 minutes. It's the same thing.
Same. Yeah.
so about an hour and a half, and I'll be able to just answer questions. That's it. Answer questions, because a lot of this stuff is it's very difficult for people to even conceive or believe that it's even possible.
It's totally possible. Like you, I mean, you and I both know it. I've been doing this for years. It's 100% possible if you, like you said, you clearly know what you want. Sure. You are willing to do what it takes, which means being accountable to what you want, like truly being accountable for it and showing up to do the work. It's not rocket science.
Right.
Say what you're going to do and then do what you say you did. You know what I mean? That's it.
Yeah. And plus, and you have to realize too, it's like Uncle Knolly's not telling you got to work 3 hours a day. What I'm telling you is during your 3 hours a day, you have to be doing these 2 big picture priorities. And that's it during those 3 hours. And then the rest of your day, you can do whatever you want.
Do whatever you want. Yeah.
Those other things are only going to move the needle about 10%.
Right. So just know, like looking at your business in reality, like and saying, okay, this is, what am I not like, do I want to spend all this time doing something that only moves the needle 10%? Or do I want to do something else, like go to Italy or hang out with my family or take a nap?
Or start another business. I don't know. I don't know what you want to do.
Do whatever. Well, okay. So Knolly.com. Is there, and then they can find details on how to get a hold of you too?
Yeah, all my information's there. If you want coaching, I do it on a very limited basis. I had a guy, he was upset. Well, he said, man, I can't find anything to buy on your website. So I started, because and I was like, crap, I need to make some products for sale. Because people ask me all the time, man, why do you do this? So for me, really, it's about legacy. See, I don't have kids. Okay, Jennifer, I've been married 31 years. My wife and I decided no children, but I have a lot of kids, like all the agents. All the agents that I'm helping, entrepreneurs. And the reality is, to me, legacy is about not just what the money you can leave behind. That's going to be blown. Studies show that all the money that inheritance, all that, usually within 18 months, it's spent within 18 months. Okay, wow. just like lottery winners, they go through that within 5 years, millions of dollars. Okay, but the real legacy that I can leave behind is not my money, not my wealth, but the real legacy is knowledge,
mindset, knowledge.
That's it. Because Scripture says, "My people perish not for lack of." Knowing how, it's for lack of knowledge, not for lack of money, for lack of knowledge. And so I want to just share with as many people as possible how to do it, how to do these things. And when we took the idea to McGraw-Hill, which is the #1 educational publisher in America, they snapped it up. And
Nice.
by the way, Steve, To Market Media, he was like, I don't know. He said, we're gonna pitch it to the top 3 publishers in America, but I can't guarantee you that any of them will want it. And so I got these other 30, and then I've got these other 300 in case none of them take it. And we just pitched it to the top 3. And McGraw-Hill was like, this is a big idea that entrepreneurs need to know right now.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
they right away.
Congratulations. I mean, it's, the ideas are good. I think in our world of real estate, they're groundbreaking, right? Like we have to change this industry, and we have to do better as real estate agents. Right. And the way to do better is for us individually to be better. And the only way we can be better is to grow our mindset. That's and really this is, I don't know. It's a great opportunity. Don't be a putz,
mindset's where it starts. And the cool thing I love about you, Jennifer, and I'm from the same mold. We don't just tell people what to do. We show them how to do it. We show you how to do it. And that's really the key, is not just to change your mind, because the mind has neuroplasticity, so it can be reprogrammed. But also you start changing your habits. It's like, okay, what specifically should I do? Well, these are the things that you should do, and here's how to do it. So I really want to cut a 5 to 7 year learning curve. I think that most people will get to this information eventually, but if you could cut a 5 to 7 year learning curve off, why not? That's the purpose of really the book.
I love it. Well, I really appreciate you being on. I know people got a lot of value out of this, and I think the podcast is all about building your business authentically to you. And that is exactly what you're talking about. Like, free up your time so that you can do what is authentically you, and be very clear about how your real estate business is operating. So thank you for being on. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's been fun.
Yeah. Bye.